Yeah. MD, JPB, it's only right, baby.
Yeah, why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Go on, run it back.
You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of this, and I'm back here with another video. Today I'll be doing What If Asta Was a Conduit Part 6. Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not using the new mic. Due to some circumstances, I'm still trying to find the right editing software, so that will take a while. I hope you can wait. I'm gonna find something soon, but it's hard to find something that like has everything I need, you know, like really convenient, so yeah. So for now, I'm going to record the way I've always have since the beginning, and it is with my phone. So, yeah, you know, we're still going old school. Let's just get right into it. I don't want to waste your time. Part 6, let's go. Okay, now last time we left off, Asta and Yami fought the Eye of the Midnight Sun and discovered Asta's new mad form that I just made. And he sacrificed his right arm for it though, so yeah. Slowly but surely, with the help of the rest of the Black Bulls, they drove back the Eye of the Midnight Sun and defeated Licht. Asta then found himself resting in the palace of the Wizard King, and then he was guided down to a basement to help with an investigation. An investigation which revealed that the captain of the, Purple Orchis was a traitor. Geldor, like, we're gonna be back at, like, everyone just questioning Geldor, and Geldor would yell, "What? That's ridiculous, I would never betray this kingdom." The captains would then say that there have actually been some pretty nasty rumors going around about him, and he already looks pretty suspicious. He would try to refute this, but Julius' assistant, Marx, would say that the evidence is infallible, and honestly, their enemies have no reason to lie to them about him. Now hearing this, Geldor would start using his grimoire and turn invisible, so it would confuse the captains, when all of a sudden they would just start being hit by invisible, like, things, and Charlotte would yell, "He's pretty much invisible now, how are we gonna get to him? He probably escaped already." Yami would then tell her to calm down and not worry, as all of a sudden, Asta would rush forward and punch at nothing. He would have used his black right arm, which would be filled to the brim with anti-magic. If you don't remember, he lost his arm by turning into his new form, so his right arm is just like metal armor-ish now, so yeah. "You're not going anywhere," says Asta. Yami would then say, "You might be able to hide your magic, but you can't hide your ki. This kid is pretty much your natural enemy." Geldor would then be pissed that a little simple little street rat foiled his plan, so he would try to do something, but in an instant, Asta just appears behind him using his neon speed, and he holds up his Demon Duelist sword to the captain's throat. "Like I said, you're not going anywhere. You may be a captain, but I'm still a better fighter than you." This is when Rill would restrain him with his painting magic, and the captains would then ask why the hell they are playing it safe and not just beating him up with all their magic attacks, and in Asta's case, anti-magic. Rill would then say that if he didn't do that, they would have destroyed the buildings, and they just Asta just turns back to see the captains ready to destroy this building for the sake of getting one man, and he would wonder how the hell they haven't destroyed the kingdom yet. Now all of a sudden, as Asta is thinking this, Rill would just start shaking his hand really fast, saying, "That was really cool, you were like an assassin. How did you know where he was? How can you dispel magic?" He would just start asking Asta all these questions that he has no time to answer, but Asta likes him because out of all the captains, he's pretty friendly. Now Julius would then get serious as he reveals all of Geldor's crimes, and he committed many atrocious ones. Crimes that Julius would rather not reveal to the public, so he tells the captains to keep everything in secret, and to see if anyone they have had any connections with or any of their squad members may have been involved with the terrorists that Geldor was working with. So they would all salute, they say goodbye, and Asta would go to leave with Yami, but they would be both summoned back by Julius, and he would tell them to gather certain stones which the organization was battling them for, they were looking for stones. And so maybe it'd be better if they got the stones before they did and hatch up any weird plan that they have in mind. And one of the magic stones they need will be in the underwater temple, just like the original. It is one of the grand zones of magic. "What the hell is that?" asked Asta. Julius would then explain what a grand zone is, and he gets it instantly because this Asta is not a dumbass. And Julius would then say that they actually might need his anti-magic. "Understood, sir," says Asta. He would then salute as they leave, and Yami would be asking him, "So kid, you seem down, what's up?" Asta would then say, "That guy, He's the reason why most of my friends almost died. He's the reason why Surfer Going got hurt. I had to get stronger. Yami would then say, oh, so you're mad. Well, don't worry, kid. I just saw you instantly corner a magic knight captain. Trust me. You're stronger, and you'll continue to get stronger. You might be wondering why Yami isn't grabbing Asta's head because he can. It's because Asta currently is at a point where it's pretty much on par with him. Because if you didn't know, if you go back to like the second part of this series, I made them spar, and Asta held his own. And at this point, Asta is at the same level as him. So even if he did grab him by the head or try to be intimidating, Asta would just brush it off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Asta's OP. Yeah, he's OP. Anyway, Asta would like just smile at this and like thank him as we cut to him, Noelle, and Ghost going to the orphanage because Asta has to get his robe back, and Ghost wanted to like say sorry and like, you know, visit Sister Teresa, and he actually gets sentimental for once. So, the sister would actually think that maybe he's really growing up and he's actually being mature, but then when he hears his little sister being glad that Asta is around, he wants to murder him, and she just thinks, yeah, he still has a long way to go. Asta would then right now be getting his robe back from Marco. Thanks for keeping us safe, says Asta. Marco would then say, no problem, but big bro Asta, why is your arm black? Noelle would then say, yeah, like what happened, what's up? Asta would just say, it's from overusing my power. Now this arm is just made of armor and anti-magic, but it's kind of cool though, right? Marco would then say that it just totally does, and he asked Asta if he can touch it, and he would. Noelle would just be like around waiting and just watching as she would see Rebecca approach Asta and they just start talking, and she gets jealous, but she's assumed it, so she's not going to share her feelings, so that's her fault. Sorry, bitch. If you haven't noticed this by now, I hate Noelle. Anyway, soon the Black Bulls would charge onto the beach and start having fun the next day instead of actually doing their job like they always do, and they'd be just messing around. Asta gets hit by a stick coming from Charmy, who was trying to hit a watermelon for like a game or something. You know, she was blindfolded. Asta would just yell, Senpai, can't you do something a little bit more normal? Charmy then apologizes and blushes a bit, and if you haven't noticed by now, Asta is a bit of a Chad. So yeah. So Asta would like to say it's fine, but chill out, and he would go have fun with everybody else, with Noelle attacking him because he's not paying attention to her and for kissing Rebecca, which is something that she's keeping to herself. Now, soon as they're having fun, Yami would like show up on the scene, and he would bury them all into the sand up to their necks, out of like rage, because these niggas be messing around. He's actually doing some work, and he would tell them that he actually found a way to enter the water temple, but they need Noelle's magic to do so. And hearing this kind of puts her in a lot of like a bad situation, gives a lot of pressure to her. Up to this point, she has never been able to control her magic that much, except for like using a few defensive spells. So it sucks when Yami says you only have 1 week to overcome your limits. But you know, she's gonna try anyway because she's a noble. So while she would be training and improving, one day on her sea dragon's lair, it would burst and she would find Asta, who was training nearby, almost got hit by like the explosion. And Asta would say, oh hey Noelle, how's your training going? It's going awesome. Why do you ask, says Noelle. Asta would say, no reason, I just thought you might like some help. Noelle would then be thinking about this and gets embarrassed about the fact that they would be alone training together, and her face would just be red as Asta would just be looking at her so confused. I mean, he kind of gets what she's like feeling because he's not dumb, like I said, but her reactions are just bizarre, you know? So this is when they would both hear a beautiful, like, just voice and sound. They would turn around to see a girl singing on a rock. This girl, Kahona, would be kind of embarrassed that they saw her, but she's kind of happy since they seem to like her voice. So who are you guys? Asked Kahona. Noelle would then say, I'm Noelle, this is Asta. So what are you doing out here? Asked Asta. Kahona would then explain that she's training to be an idol, and they would ask her what an idol is, and she would explain what an idol is to them and what her magic is. It's safe to say that just like in the original, these three are going to become very close. Yeah, they're going to become friends. And then Kahona would actually help Noelle practice her magic, and Asta would stick around to stop her when she went berserk. And due to the fact that this Asta is much more powerful, she's not afraid of going full power because whatever she does, Asta will just cancel it out. So this makes her learn the new move a little earlier, and the Black Bulls would head underwater with her Sea Dragon's Lair a little bit earlier. And Kahona would of course just disappear mysteriously, but she promises that they will meet once again, but that would take a while. Now, as Noel would be taking everyone underwater, they would be amazed at being able to see all this beautiful stuff underwater freely and with no restraints. They can actually breathe, and it just looks dope. Soon, however, they have to deal with the entrance of the Grand Belt, and Magna would yell, "Whoa, that thing is freaking crazy! You got this, right, Noel?" Noel would then say, "Shut up, I need to concentrate." She would then push through the entrance and get them through safely, and then they find themselves on the seafloor, sorry. And Asta would say, "Wow, there are so many fish." At this point, he would legit be drooling because if I didn't mention it, Asta is kind of like Charming. He hunts before. Also, he's just really hungry because why not? But yeah. As he would say this, in front of them, there would actually be a whirlpool that would open up, and it just seems crazy. And it also seems to have a lot of magic emanating from it. Not that he would know, but the others can tell. And Yami would say, "You're up, kid." Asta would say, "Just leave it to me," as he would stick his arm out of the sea dragon's lair, and from the palm of his hand would just come a giant smoke shot that would just blast into the whirlpool and just completely get rid of it. This smoke shot was, of course, filled with anti-magic, so yeah, it just completely disintegrated it, and then he would pull his arm back. "Man, that looks awesome every time I see it," says Luck. Asta would then smile at this as they would land at the water temple and a place where they can actually breathe, despite being land dwellers, and Noel would stop using the sea dragon's lair. So they would just start checking out the beautiful scenery once again, but as they would be doing this, the inhabitants would just surround them because they're surprised because these guys are magic knights. They can tell from their robes, and they're happy that they have visitors from land. And however, Yami with this terrifying aura would then ask the dwellers of the sea where their leader was. For no reason, he just had to be intimidating because that's our boy Yami. So they would gladly show them where they need to go, no problem, they're nice people. And next thing they know, the Black Bulls are walking upstairs and they go up to a huge gate. Once they open the gate, however, they would be met by a giant sea monster. Ghosh, Luck, and Magna would quickly destroy this monster just like in the original, as this time Charmy and Asta would both be ready to just feast on it because Asta's a bit of a hunter. He's like a sniper with his beam, his neon beam. But as they would try to feast on it, the monster would just break into pieces and transform into an old man. Everyone would be shocked and a bit, actually not shocked, they would just be weirded out by this, as the old man is just kind of creepy looking as well. So yeah, and the old man would say, "Oh, so you're magic knights. You came for the magic stones, right? Well, you're gonna need to play with me for a while if you want them." He would then try to kind of perv on Veronica and Noel, but he would get sucker punched by Noel, and this would make Asta laugh because it's funny, not like in the original where he just freaks out. He doesn't care. So the high priest would then say, "Oh, he was just joking," and that he really does actually want them to play a game for the stones, like legit. The team would discuss whether or not they should trust him because he looks suspicious, but Asta would choose for them. "Bring it on, old man. I've been waiting to try some things out. I hope this game has to do with fighting." "Oh my boy, I assure you it definitely does," says the high priest. Hearing this, the other Black Bulls would get hyped, especially Magna and Luck, as the high priest would summon a bunch of people in mass and tell them that they would be fighting the people in front of them, which would be the Black Bulls. Yami, of course, is on board with this, no question, because everyone on the Black Bulls loves a good rumble, especially the captain. So as they would agree, the priest would just use his magic and instantly drop everyone, but for some reason, he doesn't drop Yami. Of course, this is due to the fact that Yami is too strong for this game, but then Yami kind of laughs at this because, well, Asta is as strong as him now, so he has no idea, of course, because Asta has no magic, and this made him kind of smirk, but he just lets it go on, literally put one of the strongest people in there with them, and you didn't even know. That's kind of sad. Anyway, so Asta would start to fall as he makes his black wings, and he just glides down and safely lands. Well, it seems to have been separated. "So who am I fighting?" yells Asta. As he would say this, a man would walk up in front of him wearing a mask. "So you're my opponent? Can you even put up a fight? I sense no magic from you." As he would ask Asta this, Yami would be telling, the ranks of his boys, specifically his boys, not his girls, and the priest would laugh at the fact that they were all mid-rank, but this is when Yami would smirk. "Oh, I forgot to mention, that kid is a first-class junior magic knight, and not only that, just like my other boys, he's far stronger than his rank indicates." He's not going to say that Asta is as strong as him, mostly because he's also a warrior. He's not going to admit that, but also because he just wants to let it all play out. Regardless, though, the high priest is already shivering from the fact that that kid who he senses no magic from is that strong. And in an instant, he would see the boys just like start going crazy, and these guys are strong. Asta, using his concrete ability, would jam his opponent in 4 places. Both the guy's knees and his elbows. And the guy is just knocked out. Asta held back enough to knock him out, but not make him bleed or anything, because having literal boulders popping out of your arm is so painful already. Imagine if it wasn't a normal like earth, but concrete. Yeah, that's really painful, and it looks even more painful in the game. So that guy is out. It's also filled with anti-magic, so he wouldn't be able to use magic for a while. So Asta would find this very boring, and it kind of pissed him off because he thought this guy was going to be so strong after talking such a big game, You'd think that he would follow up. So he just kept moving forward as Yami told the priest to create sea monsters for his boys to fight and his girls, because gender equality. So Asta would just keep fighting, just like, easily taking care of these beasts without even needing to take out his anti-magic swords. Up to this point, he hasn't even taken out his anti-magic sword. Soon, however, he would find another masked man, and this guy also beat up a bunch of monsters like he did, and he would think this guy might be interesting, unlike the last guy. So he would say, "I hope you're more fun than the last guy." "So you're Asta, huh?" says the masked man, and Asta would say, "Yep. So, let's do this." Asta would then point at Kyoto. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. He's not a character that really matters much in the grand scheme of things. No offense to anyone who likes him that much. I'm not hating him. I'm just saying it. So Kyoto would just like see a bunch of earth rise around Asta, and these like bits of earth would just change in a weird way, and they have turned into concrete. And then Asta would just start rising from the ground and throw these boulders of concrete at Kyoto. Kyoto, of course, would easily be able to avoid them because Asta is not imbuing them with anti-magic, because that takes a lot of energy. And Kyoto would just say, so he must be using earth magic, but why isn't he using his grimoire? He doesn't know that Asta has no magic yet, because he doesn't really care right now. He just wants to fight. So he would start using these strange movements that look like a dance while avoiding the boulders, and keep avoiding them until he would reach Asta and slash him with his blades. However, as he did this, Asta would just dissipate and appear right behind him in an instant, and he would just slash his back with this katana made from video. Of course, this is due to his phasing ability, and combined with his after image technique. He moves so fast that he creates an after image and just like appears behind his enemies. So this would make Kyoto spit up a lot of blood as he tries to get away from Asta, but Asta is essentially like this man's shadow. He won't stop latching onto him, and wherever he goes, well, Asta goes, and he can't even do his like special move because Asta won't let him. And at this point, Asta is just toying with Kyoto, which is honestly kind of like sad, and it becomes very apparent to him that Asta is just stronger. And as this is happening, Magna and Luck would have been interrupted by Veto, or Vito, whatever you want to call him. I'll call him Vito. It's this guy. Vito would arrive at the temple and decimate the person who was supposed to be Luck and Magna's opponent. His name was Dio. So he was like a very strong guy, like the strongest guy that was in the game. But Vito just easily took him down, and Luck would say, "Magna, this guy, yeah, his magic is way stronger than even Captain Yami," responds Magna. Vito then, using his rhinoceros armor, aka his beast magic, would crush Dio of the water temple, and Yami, as well as the priest who would see this, would get like really shocked. And Yami would then try to break the barrier between him and his underlings. However, the high priest told him that it is impossible unless the game finishes first. Even he can't get rid of it. But Yami doesn't really care, and he just defies all common sense and breaks the barrier, only to see that some guy is putting up a huge like space-time barrier around them. Now, as he would realize this, Vito would look at Yami through the monitor and say, the place like they're looking at the people. He would look at the monitor and say that he will watch as he plunges his comrades into despair, and he won't be able to do anything about it. Yami would then ask the high priest to make his voice heard to his comrades, like, speakers, and Yami would say, "Guys, there's someone dangerous from the eye of the midnight sun here. I'm gonna need you to surpass your limits. Asta, it's fair to say that you're strong enough to make sure everyone stays safe. So protect them all until I get there. And the rest of you, beat all your opponents. That way at least I can get to you faster until I've beaten the game. Don't let me down." Everyone would hear this and feel empowered as they were ready to just protect themselves, and Asta, who would have heard this, would stop chasing and messing with Kyoto, who at this point is so tired that he's laying on the ground out of breath. Sorry man, but we're gonna need to postpone this fight, says Asta. Kyoto, laying on the ground, would then say, it's fine, but what is your power? What is your magic? You clearly, actually no, clearly you have no magic since I now realize it, so what's up with your body? Asta would then give him a hand and say that he doesn't really know himself, so he'll let him know later when he finds out. So Kyoto would be fine with this, and they would keep moving forward, but he would still ask him about his attacks and what he can do. Soon Asta and Kyoto would hear loud noises and just explosions, and so they would rush. Asta, of course, would be like way past Kyoto. He would just rush full speed using Neon and rush past Kyoto, who would just be amazed, and Asta would be thinking, please let me make it in time. He would use all his speed to arrive at the place where he was like just hearing the most noise, just in time to block an attack from Vito, while he was attacking his friends. And Vito would say, oh, you're here, the anti-magic kid. Asta would have then seen that before he got here, Luck and Magna did put up a last line of defense but failed, and then Vito tried to go in for the final blow. This pissed him off a lot, so while blocking Vito's attack, he would enlarge his Demon Slayer sword and swing it at Vito, who would dodge this, but he would get a bit of a cut on his stomach, and this kind of surprised him. Not bad, but you're gonna end up like those two by the time I'm done with you. I would love to see you try, says Asta. He would then take out both his swords, and using his video ability, he would create a bunch of black swords that would just encircle him. He would then rush at incredible speed using his swords to hit Vito from the back when he would manage to dodge his Demon Slayer and his Demon Dweller. Essentially, Vito literally had no way to escape. Whenever he would dodge or hit Asta, he would just be hit by another attack. And this actually hurts Vito a few times, and he was actually getting sick of it. He has been dodging all this time because, he wanted to mess with Asta and fill him with despair, but he might have to actually get serious against this brat. So he cloaks his arm in a weird energy that just forms a claw, and he goes to slash at Asta, but his right arm just passes right through him, and then he gets a cut right across his chest. You little... Him and Asta would then keep going back and forth as Kyoto would arrive, just like a little tired to see the fight, and his jaw just drops. I can barely keep up with their speed. This Asta guy is incredible. He wasn't even being serious with me. Kyoto would then realize that joining the fight wouldn't exactly help right now. So he picks up Asta's clearly injured friends, Magna and Luck, and right now the rest of the Black Bulls are fighting off people of the Midnight Sun so they can meet up. Ghosh, Finro, Charmy would manage to meet up and meet a shy girl who they soon find out is Grey, and now, she's not under her transformation magic anymore, so big reveal, Grey isn't just a big blob. Now, back to the fight, Asta would be finding it pretty hard to keep up with this guy now because this guy's speed just keeps increasing, so Asta finds it hard to phase shift. Phase shift is when he makes his body intangible and turns into a smoke substance. He literally has no time to. To this point, Asta and Vito would have been on equal terms of power and speed, but Asta was being kind of pushed back a bit until he almost got tackled by Vito, who would be using his rhinoceros armor again. Asta would then get tackled and actually get hit as he would just be sent into a wall and spit out a lot of blood. Kyoto would then step in and try to hold this dangerous guy off until Asta gets back up. Noel and Kahono would then have found, the fight, and Noel would blast Vito with a water ball, but he would quickly just smack that shit away. Asta would be watching this, wanting to get back up, and his regeneration just goes into overdrive, and this heals his internal injuries, so he slowly gets better. And soon he will get back into the fight, but right now, no, he cannot. So from this point on, everything will go as in the original, up to the point where Noel develops her new magic and blasts off Vito's arm. This would lead to Vito using his special brand of magic to regenerate his arm, and then he would launch a devastating, cataclysmic attack at Noel out of spite because she's the type of person that he hates the most, nobles. However, as the attack is about to hit, Asta would instantly just appear in front of her, and using Wormhole, he would absorb this attack and just shocks everyone. You're not gonna kill my comrades if I have anything to say about it, says Asta. He would then burst into his obsidian form, and as he transforms, he gains 2 horns and 2 wings, almost becoming a full demon, and he would instantly appear and appear right in front of Vito before he even realizes it. Vito just has a sword in his stomach, right away. He has a sword in his stomach, and Asta would then pull out his Demon Dweller sword that he shoved in his body and punch him as he uses breaking point to fill Vito's bodies with concrete covered in anti-magic, a lot of them. "You're never gonna hurt anyone ever again," says Asta. Then he would roundhouse kick Vito away, and this makes his body burst with blood, with everyone seeing this, and they would just be shocked. Yami would be thinking, "This kid got even stronger than before, didn't he?" Vito would then just get back up, as he just cannot regenerate anymore, and it is really hard to move or do any of his attacks because the concrete in his body was still coated with anti-magic, and so he was in real trouble. He legit could not do anything. He would then look up to see Asta raise his Demon Slayer sword as he says, "Endbringer." His sword would then magnify in size as Asta strikes down so hard that the impact not only beats Vito but cuts him in half. At this point, there are no words to describe what Asta just did. Veronica and Infernal would then arrive with Ghost, Grey, and Charmy, as Veronica would say, "Did he just?" And Infernal would say, "Uh-huh." At this point, they would all just feel the ground just crumble and rumble, and Yami would just arrive on the scene. Sup. As he would say this, he would see everyone just surrounding Asta, who was out cold, because using that level of his new form and all that speed to actually catch someone like Vito off guard was a lot of power. So he's gonna be out for a while. Yami would then approach them saying he must have used way too much power to maintain his new form to that degree, but that was still pretty awesome. Everyone would definitely agree, because not only did Asta beat this guy, he legit obliterated him. But as they'll be saying this, Vito's corpse would start to rise and kind of regenerate, but not really. He's like a big blob. And regardless, just like in the original, his forbidden magic would activate on his own. He's like a ticking time bomb, and that is making everything just shake. It's like an earthquake. It would start to be covered by a weird ball that kept expanding, and the Black Bulls would be panicking, but Yami would calm them down while saying, "Leave this to me. You guys did pretty well. It's thanks to you that I surpassed my limits once again." He would then break out his new move, Dark Magic, Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. In an instant, this weird field will be destroyed and cut in half, not only destroying Vito even more than Asta did, but just actually get rid of him this time. "See you later, Mr. Despair," says Yami. Now, time skip to Asta waking up. He opens his eyes and actually finds himself in bandages, and his bones were in bad shape, but due to his conduit abilities, he was practically already healed. He could at least walk. Everyone would then see Asta getting up and ripping off his bandages, as Luck would say, "Oh, he's up, guys." Then they would fill him in on what happened after he passed out, and everything that's happening as of right now is awesome, because the Black Bulls are being adored by the sea citizens, and they got the magic stones they came for. You know, it's awesome. And Asta just learned a new level of his power, so that's good. And then he would go meet Yami, as they gave some flowers to Vito because he was an asshole, but he gave a pretty good fight, so yeah. However, soon the Black Bulls had to head back to the surface and leave. Haono and Noel would promise to meet again for sure, and Kyoto would promise to train so he can one day be as strong as Asta, which will never happen. I'm sorry, buddy. It's really sad, but nah. Now we cut to the Black Bulls hideout, and everyone is there, as Asta would say, "So, anyone else feel tired?" Everyone would instantly yell yes, like amen. Oh my god, they are so exhausted. Gordon, who was then worried about them, would be shedding tears for them, and Grey was trying to hide her face since, well, now there is no point in transforming because they know what she looks like now, so yeah. But even though he was tired, Asta needed to go with Yami to give his report to Julius. There was never a break for the main character. They would arrive, as he would give the magic stones to Julius, both of them would, and Julius would say, "Great job, guys. It seems you suffered no casualties or anything. Yami, you turned out to be a pretty good captain, you know." Yami would then say, "I'm 28 now. You can't be saying embarrassing things like that, you know." Julius would then laugh nervously as he apologizes, and Julius would say, "And Asta, once again, great job. Pretty soon, I'm pretty sure going to be strong as your captain." "Don't worry, I already am," says Asta. Yami, hearing this, would smirk as he would turn around, saying, "Do you want to die, kid?" Asta would then say, "I'm ready to go when you are." They would then stare each other down as Julius would try to break them up, saying, hey, if you want to fight, do it back at your base, alright, not here." He would then be thinking, this kid just seriously just says what's on his mind, doesn't he? Now, as he would be breaking them up, his assistant would run in, just yelling, well, not run in, I'm sorry about that. Marks has this magic thing where he can just appear in a little, he's like a transmitter, and you can see his face floating up in the air. that he would do that and inform that the Diamond Kingdom is attacking them right now. He would appear just using his magic and show footage of these soldiers approaching the kingdom. Wow, they are definitely not here to talk, are they? Says Asta. Now, as he would say this, he would just see Yuno and the Golden Dawn appear on the scene looking badass, and Asta, seeing this, would smirk as he creates his wings and phases through the walls of the castle and heads for the main battle. This is gonna be so much fun. That is where I'm going to leave it off. How will Asta handle this attack? How will the attack of the Diamond Kingdom impact the Clover Kingdom? Well, and is Asta going to have any injuries that might make him need to go a certain place? Well, you're gonna have to find that out in the next part. Welcome to the end of the video. Like usual, thank you for watching. And before I leave, I would like to mention that yes, there have been some audio issues because, like I said, I need to find some new software. My phone won't be able to cut it anymore, and plus I want to try new things. It's gonna take a while to set everything up, but soon y'all might be getting new, better quality videos. I'm not gonna guarantee that they're gonna come out faster because, well, nothing is ever that easy, but you know, we'll see. Aside from that, I hope you guys are staying safe. Hopefully this pandemic will blow over so I can have more time to do my own things. We can all get back to normal. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I hope you had fun with this video. I hope the majority of you that like this series specifically keep watching it, because I will be making Asta even more OP than he already is. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna leave. Have a good day. Yeah, bye.